knitter, and welcome to my happy place where I tell you all about my crochet and especially my knitting adventure as a beginning knitter. Let me first introduce myself to you. My name is Julia and I'm coming from the Netherlands, and I live in a small town near the beach. It's a very nice place to live. We live in an old farmhouse that me and my husband bought 6 years ago, and together we have 5 children. My husband has 3 children and I have 2 children. And when I tell you about my knitting journey, I also tell you a little bit about my children. And especially I will tell you a little bit about my daughter, because she passed away almost 10 years ago, and she had a chronic disease which is called cystic fibrosis. In Dutch we call it taaislijmziekte. I don't know how you call it in English, but it affects your lungs very badly, and in the end your lungs are just destroyed. So she passed away now almost 10 years ago, as I mentioned, and for me knitting and working on projects and getting my head on knitting and things like that, it really helps me to heal, still to heal, for me it's important also to talk about my daughter, because I feel like when people pass away and people you love very much and dearly, then people find it very hard to talk about it. And I really like to show that you can be happy after the passing of your child, that it's sometimes hard, but that life is good and I'm enjoying life. But there's always a part in me that never completely will heal, if you know what I mean. But that's okay. And because a part of me is missing. And I think I accepted that very well. And I live a very happy and good life. So you don't need to feel sorry for me. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. That's also not the reason why I talk about her. Because the reason why I talk about her on this channel also is that, as I mentioned, you know, people find it hard to talk about people who are deceased or who died, and they find it sometimes awkward. And I just love talking about my daughter, as I love talking about my son, and as we love to talk about the other children. So it's just a part of our lives. And I also want to inspire people with chronic disease that there's always, you're not your disease. You know, you are a person. And that is also how I raised my child. And then she had a very happy life. She didn't lead a sad and sick life. Yes, the last few years of her life were very hard. She was almost 27 when she passed away, 1 month from her birthday. So she was 26 years old. And that were hard. Those years were hard. But besides that, she had a very happy life. She had a life full of joy. She lived on her own. She went to the arts academy, you know, a school of arts. She was very artistic and she loved going there. She studied there a few years before it became too hard for her, and then she had to leave. But she had a boyfriend since she was 17 years old. She married him. They led a very happy and good life. She had friends, and as I mentioned, until the last 3 years of her life, she was a very happy person. She always was very happy, also the last years. She was a very special person. So that's a little bit detailed. I won't go in detail every time, because this channel is about knitting and crocheting and about handcrafts. But for me, I also like to tell a little bit about my personal life. I think it's okay to be vulnerable, and I don't see any harm in it. And also in Dutch on my channel there are a few videos about bereavement, where I talk about bereavement in Dutch. So as I mentioned, this is my happy place because knitting and crocheting and sewing and everything what has to do with making things with my hands, I love it. So that was a little bit a big introduction, but I wanted to explain a little bit about my background. So let's start with the knitting part, because that's what you're here for. Last week, Saturday, I went to a workshop and we made our own wool in colors. So we painted the wool. I don't think you painted, but we dyed the wool. I think you say dyed. So that was very nice and it was also very challenging. And first the workshop started with, we got a very small part of wool. I think it is merino wool. I think this is lightweight or sport weight, I don't know. And this is what I made. And it was very nice because she had all these colors on the table and we could choose. And the colors were made of powder. So these were not natural dyed colors. I just thought, you know, I just do some colors and I wanted to make a teal color. Well, that didn't work out very well because this is not teal, but this is green and yellowish, brownish, if you wish. And I just put colors in there was like we got a can and there was water in it and there was like some acid in it, lemon acid I think. And then there were all kinds of powders. And I just put a little bit of the powder in the acid water. Then I just put it in. And first I took a brush and I started to paint a little bit on the wool to start. And then I started a part in it. And then as I said, I put it completely in it. Then when I took it out, I took a brush and I just experimented with the color. It was just playing with colors. And this is what came out of it. It's not a color I usually go for, but I think it's nice. It's, I think 10 or 15 grams. And, you know, it can go in a memory blanket or it can go in a, you know, if I have yarns left over and there will be a project for it, a blanket or something like that, I can use it for that, but it's really nice. And then she gave, because we paid for the workshop, of course, and then she gave us, and let me see, she gave us, she let us choose which, well no, she first asked which pattern you want to make. And I love Pia Trans. She is 50 Fabulous here on YouTube, and I think I binge watched all her videos. And I love her patterns and I love her style. And so I decided I want to make a pattern of her and I'm going to make the Brise top. I will put a link of the picture in here. And for the Brise top you need DK weight yarn. So she opted for me for this merino. It's a superwash. It was of course completely white. And she said, well, then you need 3 strands of this. So I bought one I got because I paid for the workshop, and the other 2 parts or the 2 wools I bought. And then I was very careful because I want to make a really nice sweater of it, a summer sweater. And for me, typically, I like to go for colors like very light colors, like beige, light gray, light blue. I like army green, I like teal, I like, you know, soft earth tones, but I also like, especially in summer, I like some pastel tones. I don't know if you say that in English. And so I said to her, you know what, I want to make a little bit pink. I love a good pink. I love this muted pink. Well, it obviously is not muted how it came out. I think it's more like a salmony color. Look, it's beautiful. And when you take it out, you can see you can see the colors better. You see, this is all hand dyed and you can see the light colors. And what is so funny, I just love natural colors. So I really loved the undyed yarn. And I said to her, you know, I really, really love it undyed. But, you know, I came there to dye some yarn and not just to go away with the same thing I always go for. So I decided, and then first she put a red dye in it and I was like, no, I don't like red. I don't like red. I love pink colors, light pink colors, I'm not like a person who likes bright colors. I like muted colors. And they said, no, it will be okay. And then she helped me and she put some colors in it. And we put some yellow and we put some brown in it. And just this really nice color came out. And I think it's really nice. It wouldn't especially be a color I would buy. But I think the Brise top will be lovely in this color. And yes, it's superwash. You know, usually with superwash, I find it very soft to the touch. And I really like soft fabrics. I find the rustic yarns, it's beautiful. I have also some lead loopy in my house and I will make a sweater of it. But it's very itchy. And I think I prefer the softer yarns. But I really want to find out which yarns are natural, not superwash, and soft. I think I like alpaca wool also. I think some people find it also itchy. I think it's just a very personal matter and I really need to find out because, as I said, I'm a knitter who just started out a few months ago and I don't have so much experience at all. I knitted a pair of socks. I will put a picture in next to me. Really lovely socks. It was the first pair of socks I made. They're not perfect at all, but they're really nice and I'm kind of proud of my socks. So, you know, be kind to my socks, please. So I hope you like them. I love them. And I love also to knit socks in 3mm needle because my sight is not very good. I wear lenses and when I knit socks in the nighttime, then I really need to put on my glasses or to knit them in daytime. So for me to knit them on 3mm, I like that. It's I also like the feeling of a little bit more thicker socks. I love to, in my house, to sit on the couch with a blanket because I feel very cold. And the weather also here in the Netherlands, we have a very cold spring. There are some nice days. The temperature is getting better, but still we have a lot of rain. And I hope the coming week it will be better. It better be because I have a holiday the coming week. So I have a week off from my work. So because I work 3 days a week in IT company and I'm an HR advisor. So human resources advisor. But I'm the only human resources in the company. There's only 23 people. So actually I do the work from an HR manager. So this is, to come back on the color, on the dyed color, this is what I dyed. I love it, really nice. Also, since I started knitting, I'm getting crazy over the wool, over the yarn. I love so much the yarns and I just bought online and I bought like lead loopy, Einband, drops, air, and I have a lot of yarn for socks. A lot. And I only until now made 1 pair. So I need to stop myself a little bit and I decided from now on I will buy something when I have the pattern and I need the yarn because I don't want to overbuy stuff. I really want to be mindful about it, but with yarn I find it very hard to be a mindful buyer. So before I decided to do that, I bought really nice yarns. And it is kids mohair. It is these two colors. It's hand dyed. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color. It's like a coppery color. This one is called tuna. This is 72% mohair and it is 28% silk. So it's silk mohair. I love it. And I bought this color, Croton it's called. It's like an army green color. I love it. And it's also silk mohair. It's beautiful. It's so soft, so nice. I love it. But I only bought 50 grams and 50 grams. I can't make anything of 50 grams. I can maybe use it maybe in a sweater I will make in the future, or I can make a scarf on it. So I can buy another, I think I will buy another 3 because I think I will hold this together because it's very, very thin. You see it's very thin, very thin. But this is really beautiful. I bought it from a very small company. She works on her own in a really nice Dutch city she lives. Her logo is like mine. It's beautiful. It's really Dutch. And she works on her own and she's very yeah, motivated. And I love people, you know, who just follow their heart and do what they want to do, and they can do it. So yeah, I love that. I love when people just do what they love to do. That's really good. So these two beautiful yarns, I love them. Then in this really nice project bag, I have my sweater, which I'm knitting at this moment. This is from a free pattern of Caitlin Hunter. It's called Feel the Bern. Maybe you already know about it. It's such a nice, really nice sweater. And it is my first colorwork sweater and it looks like so. And you see Bernie Sanders here because she is inspired in the inauguration of President Biden. He went viral with his mittens and she made a pattern inspired on the mittens of Bernie Sanders. So if you don't know, Bernie Sanders is an American politician. And Pia Trans inspired me to make this one because she made also this sweater. She made it also with Drops Merino Fine. Now I know Drops is a cheap yarn, and I also decided to go for it because I'm a beginner with knitting, and you know I make many mistakes and I just practice, and I practice my color work with this sweater. I tried before to knit a no frills sweater from Petite Knit, but I stranded with the short rows. I just didn't get it. After 1 month, finally I know how to make short rows. I will tell you a little bit about that adventure. These are the colors that I use for this sweater. This is the color chocolate brown. I think it's number 49, but it's the color chocolate brown. Beautiful, beautiful brown color. This is a beige color. This is the color 8. This is the color, it's the lighter color, it's grayish brown, it's color 7. And then this is the grayish brown color, and this is number 6. This color is brown, grayish. Pia also mentioned this in her video, that she also used this color, and she also said this color, when you wear brown things, it will turn brown, and when you wear gray things, the color, it will look more like a gray color. I personally think it looks very much like a gray color. So these are the colors I use for the sweater. And This is my sweater. This is what I have knitted. I am quite proud of it. This is the back and this is the front. Well, I had some struggles with this sweater. First of all, I had to make some short rows here. And what I did wrong with the short rows, because I'm learning to read English patterns. So the short rows, it was said you knit 30 stitches. First from here 30 stitches and then you make wrap and turn. I do the German short row, but that doesn't matter. And then you turn work and you are on the wrong side. And then you knit, it was written to the board, beginning of round. I didn't know that. So I knitted 31 stitches again and I again turned and made my short rows. So I made my short rows on a very small part. So it became very bumpy. There was like a big, and of course because I made it over a small part of yarn. So I had this issue also with my no-frill sweater. Finally, I just took the time to read the pattern very well. And then I read knit to the beginning of round, then 31 stitches. So first back to this one, then 31 stitches. And of course it's very logical to do that, but I just, because I'm so overwhelmed with all the new things I need to learn, I just didn't read the pattern very well. So, and I saw like Joanna and Karen, the podcasters, and Karen also said that she also writes down the pattern before she starts knitting. I think I'm too lazy for that. But I think it's a very good thing because then you really know the pattern. So now my short rows are really good. No holes, beautiful. And actually it's not hard at all. When you know, you know. But isn't that the case with everything? You know, I didn't know. So before I had that right, I think I ripped it out like 4 times. And then I finally find out. Then I knitted and knitted and knitted and I did the color work. Well, the color work is a little bit logical to do. And there was a part, I think it was this part, where you had to work with 3 colors. I find that very hard because I had the main color in my right hand. I'm a continental knitter, so I knit with my left hand. And then the other 2 colors with my left hand. And that was a challenge. I made a mistake on this part and I had to rip it out completely because I just, with the color work, I think with the number of stitches I had, I made the, when I came at the end of the round, it didn't fit. And I made just 2 mistakes in, you know, in the color work. And then when you make a mistake, everything goes wrong, of course. So I ripped it out, I frogged it, or I took it, I ripped it out, and then I did it again and now it's good. But there's something with my sweater. I don't know if you already saw it. You see, it's really bubbly. So I'm quite a tight knitter, so this yarn needs to be knit with a needle 4 millimeters, and I already used 4.5 for this part, the hem, and I used 5.5 for the, no, 5 for the yoke, for the complete sweater actually. It's a cropped sweater, so I'm quite starting to get there. But it bothers me enormously that it's such a bubbly texture. I hope with blocking it will be okay. And I mentioned this in my Dutch video I made 2 days ago. And somebody commented me that because I really, with my right hand, I knit really loose. So, and also if you see my floats, here, maybe here, you see my floats, they look good, and the floats are also very loose. I don't know if you can see, but they're very loose. But somebody commented on my video and she said, you knit it too tight. And I said, well, I didn't knit it that tight. And then she said, no, you didn't knit the color you knitted, but the other color that stayed behind, you tensioned it too much. So that is why it's bumpy. I think it will be okay with blocking. I won't start over again because this took me like 2.5 weeks to knit, maybe 3 weeks. And it's just a learning journey for me. Also, I don't like the color of the hem. Is it called hem? I think so. I don't like this color. I think it would be nicer, the brown color. So somebody also told me in my Dutch video that I can take it out and pick up the stitches from the yoke and make a new hem. I don't know if I want to do that. If I have the courage to do that, I don't know. But we will see. First I will finish the sweater. It has short sleeves. Of course I will link the pattern below because it's also a free pattern. So if you want to knit it, go for it. Also, what is funny, like brown is not exactly my color, but I really love this combination and I really love this yoke. I love the sweater. I love everything about it. And so I'm really curious, you know, if the bumps will block out. So we will see. So yeah, and I had some struggles with my needle stoppers. I used the Chaigu needle and I have like on the cable, the Chaigu cable, and then you have these connectors and you have these stoppers. Let me see, let me tell you what I mean. I mean the stoppers. I mean the stoppers from Chaigu. I struggled with them before. I just take now the large. You know, you have this, of course you know these ones, the needle stoppers. So you put it on your needle and I don't, you know, put it tightly on my needle. But when I take it off, I only take off the black part and this stays behind. And it happened already 3 times. And my husband had to come and to help me to get it out of my needle with some I will put the word in it because I don't know what the word is in English, but he had to force it to get it out of my needle. So this happened a few times to me, so I just don't like these needle stoppers. And I don't know if you also have the same issue with these Chaigu needle stoppers. I think I will just buy regular stoppers for my needle. So that was an issue I had with my needle. The last thing I want to tell about the colorwork sweater, because you know it's my first colorwork. It's also actually my first sweater I will finish, because I started a few sweaters before which I didn't finish, and I really would like to finish my projects. Although it's very tempting to start a new project when you already started a project and you already want to knit something else. But we don't do that. I decided for myself, I am allowed to knit a main project, to knit socks or a scarf, or socks and a scarf as I'm knitting now, and you know, to do some crocheting. But I don't have so much knitting time, so sometimes I can see online people are knitting so fast, but they've many knitting time. I don't have, so, and I don't want to compare myself, you know, I want to take it slowly and I just want to enjoy the process, which I really do. Like last Wednesday, it was a really hard day on work. The last week was very hard. So it was very stressful and for me. And When I came home Wednesday, I was so tired and I didn't go to my yoga class, which I do 1 time a week. And I'm doing Hatha Nidra, love it. And I just started knitting and it just calmed me down. And after 1.5 hours, I felt at peace. I didn't feel so tired anymore. So I also know that knitting for me is really, really relaxing. So that's really nice. So this is my Feel the Bern sweater. Then I started to knit some socks. They are in this beautiful Emma ball bag. And the yarn I used is Reggie Merino. It's from a store in Sweden, which also has a store in the Netherlands, and it's called Etna. And it's a superwash yarn. It is 75% merino and 25% polyamide. So, but it's so soft. And I made this yarn ball myself. Really like doing that. As I mentioned before, I knitted my first socks, and I did that actually with a few videos. No, not really with a pattern. I think it's called vanilla socks, but I used the gusset heel, and so this was from another YouTube video, and well, that was it actually. I knitted those socks from bottom to toe. So I started by 2x2 rib and then just stockinette all the way because it was a really nice yarn. It was also Rachi Tencel yarn, also from the same store Etna, but it was like many colors, multicolored yarn. So then you have really nice socks. This yarn is of course a unicolor, and I thought, well, you know, I want to knit from toe up. So I started with the toe up, and I started with the Tunisian cast on. I find it very hard, the Tunisian cast on, not to, you know, to put yarn over it. But what's so funny, what happened to me, I think 10 times, I just cast it on like on the needles 12 times because I wanted to start with 12 stitches on each side. And when I knitted them, every time I had 11 left and I just didn't get it. And I just lost, every time I lost 1 stitch. So then finally I got it, like, you know, when you turn it, it's all loose stitches. So you really need to take care that everything stays on the needle. And so finally, after really 10 times starting all over again, I got it. And I started to knit, and the back I started in stockinette, and in the front I started 2 knitting, 1 purling stitch. With increasing, I find it extremely hard, because with the increasing with toe up, you increase every round where you start with the 12 stitches and then you knit a few, I think you cast on 12 and then you knit like 2 times, you know, forth and back. And then every row you increase. You increase. So you knit 1 stitch and then you increase 1. And then until in the end, the last stitch, you increase 1 before the last stitch. And then the next round, you need to knit 3 and then increase. And then 3 before the end of the round and then increase. And you increase to the left, you increase to the right. And I found it not hard to increase, but I find it hard to do it neat. And you can see here, and I find it also hard to pick up the stitches if you have done a few rows. It was not very visible what I had to pick up. And yesterday I saw a video and I saw what I'm doing wrong, because I picked up from the stitch before but what I saw Stephen West doing, he picked up not from the stitch before, but the middle from the stitch. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I think it will be okay. So it's not very neat. You can see it here. You can see it here. Here. And also, although the yarn is very soft, I knitted, you can see, magic loop. That goes very well. No leathers. So that I'm quite proud of, that I really mastered really quick. I don't find it hard to work with the magic loop. Actually, I like working with the magic loop with socks. They're not very neat, but also I find them very boring. And I think when you work with a unicolor, it's really nice to, you know, knit a pattern. So I will frog this completely, and I will make some socks with my Mine and White yarn, just to start this one. So I can knit without a pattern, just, you know, to practice. And then after I finish those socks, I will pick up this yarn again and I will start knitting a pattern. And I will let you know when I am going to do that. So these are the socks. And you know, everything is just learning, a learning curve. So I just learned now that with only one color yarn, you just need to, you know, knit a pattern. It's completely okay for me to make mistakes and to start all over again and to learn from it. So I really don't mind frogging it and starting all over again. That is my journey and my journey of learning how to knit. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. This was it for today. If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment if you have a tip or some suggestions for me. I would love to have some interaction with my English viewers as well. So please let me know. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.